Yeah, so Ledger Enterprise, was designed for this. And had Bybit used Ledger Enterprise, they would have not lost the money because Ledger Enterprise was designed to resist to such attack. Like the man in the middle attack, like the guy that goes behind the screen of your phone computer and take the money elsewhere. That's the most classic attack. And what happened to Bybit was impressive, but it's not even like the worst that can happen. Like a lot worse can happen. So the thing is, there is much more money now in crypto. There will be more money tomorrow in crypto. So you can be sure that the best hackers in the world are going to think hard about that problem. And so it's interesting because this industry seemed to, one, learn only by doing big mistakes. When we do big mistakes, then we're like, okay, so then we try to not do it again. But even though, like, for a lot of people, they worry about security later. Like it feels like everybody needs to get burned so they understand that fire burns.
Welcome to the Dubai Talk Show. I'm your host, Lubos Joyce. Today, our guest is Pascal Gauthier, the CEO of Ledger. Welcome to the show, Pascal.
Merci, thank you for having me.
So tell us more about the latest innovations of Ledger. Recently you've been trying to position the company, let's say, as the Apple of Web3 in a way, we're having innovative designs, having better user interface, etc.
We don't call ourselves that, but thank you for the comparison. It's always great to be compared to Apple, and we certainly are doing our best to design great product and great experiences. I think we had a pivotal moment like a few years ago now where we started to think product first and tech after. And so that was really like, sort of inspired by Apple and the way they design product. And we also onboarded like Tony Fadell, who's been designing Stacks, our new product, and co-designing Flex, and, really bringing that sort of product and product design culture inside what is really a security company. And so now we have the best of both worlds. Like we have like the Ledger security, which is uncompromised, and we have the design and the ease of use and the UX and UI that is coming straight from Apple. So we're trying to do our best in order to help users to not only be protected, but being able also to easily use their crypto.
You have been great advocate of self-custody, obviously as part of the product range. Tell us more about, let's say for the audience who is not aware, what is the benefit of storing your own crypto and your blockchain off a centralized exchange?
Well, the benefit is that if you don't own your crypto, so why Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a decentralized system that is a peer-to-peer system. The real invention and what is great is actually now you have like a digital money network available 24/7 online that cannot be stopped, and where people can transact peer-to-peer, so from me to you, without any intermediary. So it sounds nothing like that, but it's actually a big, big invention because up until now, every time you want to do a digital transaction, you have one or several intermediaries between you and the person that you want to send the money to. And so the fact that you have something that is available to sort of everyone on the planet that allows to send money from people electronically directly is a big breakthrough. And so in order to do that, you need to possess your private keys. And so you need to be in what is called self-custody, but the reality is what you're doing is really digital private property. Like you own something that is yours and you can keep it if you want. If you want to leave it at the bank, you can. So all of this is good and well. And, if you're not convinced by the peer-to-peer payment system, you will be convinced with, everything built on blockchains and public blockchains like Bitcoin or Ethereum are public protocols, the same way that the web is a protocol. People use the web in the way that they use an app that runs on the web. When you use Facebook, you use the Facebook app, and that runs on a protocol that is called the web. And so very similarly, you will see a lot of projects and apps basically being developed on top of public blockchains. And to interact with those apps or dApps, like you'll need to have your private keys. This is not science fiction. It already exists with Solana, with Ethereum. And if you want to interact with DeFi, for example, there's no other way than signing yourself the transaction, proving to the protocol that you own the cryptocurrency, right, to move it from A to B. And so these things now are being built, like, building on top of Bitcoin is sort of happening. You have many companies that are launching a bunch of applications and products. And so as soon as you need to interact with a blockchain, like if you don't have your private keys, you just can't sign anything. So you won't be able to leave everything at the bank. If you want to, that's okay. But for many applications and for many things that you want to use and that will run faster, that will be cheaper, etc., you will only be able to do it if you have your private keys.
So self-custody specifically for a blockchain, how many years ago did it start? I mean, obviously Bitcoin exists for what, since 2008 or 9, I think.
Correct.
So what about self-custody? When did it begin?
Self-custody began with Bitcoin. I mean, custody didn't exist when Bitcoin started. So you had to keep your Bitcoin
Uh,
and sometimes the wrong way on your computer or something that is not secure. What was very interesting in the white paper is like the security of the private keys is never an issue. Like, is they don't talk about it. And for me, that's interesting because I feel that security engineers are not the same as software engineers, etc. And so there are many things that security engineers will think of when it comes to security of cryptographic private key that your software engineer is not going to think about. And actually, the way that you see this industry running is like people are focused on the top experience, the top line, growing the business, but people are rarely focused on actually doing the security, which in the case of cryptocurrency is really paramount because as we've seen with the latest 1.5 billion hack, when the money is gone, it's gone. And, the people that are coming after you are Lazarus and North Koreans, etc. So it's real bad boys and real wolves coming for real money, and so therefore security has to be paramount. But at the beginning, OGs like were coding from their computer, and so how many stories do you have of Bitcoin that were lost because they were not on the right security device, right? And for us, it took some time to be in market with the first product that was a hit. That was NanoS in 2016. So it took like 8 years to actually develop something, and for people also to understand, like it takes education, like for people to understand, like why security, like why do I need to worry about this? Maybe like a software wallet, why isn't that good enough? Like, well, it depends. If you have a lot of money, good enough is not good. You need to be very secure with certainty. You should not compromise. And so a lot of money means you need to have a ledger. If you have $100, it's okay to use a software wallet. The same way that if you have $100, you can put it in your pocket. If you have a pocket and you can extract it very easily, right? If you have like $50,000, maybe you don't put that in your pocket. Like maybe you put it somewhere where it's harder to access and to steal from you. Self-custody was right at the beginning, but like self-custody done right or private property, like having the tools to have your private property really secure, done right, where you can actually interact with the protocol in a nice way, where you said it before, you have good user experience, good user interface. I mean, it took us some time to get there, but I think we are very happy with the latest stacks and flex, and the review is actually really good and going in the direction that which is, better UX, better UI, and people like it. Yeah.
To be honest, I don't have at the moment a ledger or any other similar hardware device to store
Wow.
my crypto.
What do you do?
But I might be having in the future. Why not? If we have a higher net worth, why not? I mean, that's
Wait,
the
wait,
way
wait.
to go,
What
I
do you do?
guess.
What do you do? How do you secure your crypto?
I keep it on the exchange, basically.
Yeah, okay. So no, look, everything is a choice and everything is a compromise. Keeping it on an exchange, you have risks that are associated to this. The exchange can lose the money, as we've seen recently. Sometimes they pay you back, sometimes they don't. They can block your account. Like there are many things that they can do, and it defeats the promise of like, money that is yours and that you can move with you everywhere you want in the world. But it's not necessarily bad in itself. It depends which exchange, it depends how much you can trust them. But with the reminder that nobody is too big to fail, and every month we have a reminder of this, if not every week, like to trust your digital life to someone else is not necessarily a good idea. And so I would say that at the minimum, you should have some of your assets with you in self-custody on a ledger, and maybe you leave some on the exchange for fast trading, etc. Although you can trade with your ledger today, like you don't even need an exchange anymore. You can just do that from Ledger Live. But I would at least, divide my risk, like not don't put all your eggs in the same basket.
Yes, I mean, it was quite controversial that the first fully regulated crypto exchange in the UAE by VARA was FTX, and then the next day the company went bankrupt. So, I mean, obviously that's a current example.
Yeah, exactly. And so, banks are not too big to fail. Well, Credit Suisse fell, like, even Swiss banks can fail. So my point is not to scare everybody into necessarily, having everything yourself, but there is something that people must understand. If you are uh, a citizen, if you're someone, you have private property. In your physical life, it's very easy to understand what is your private property. In your digital life, you will have private property, meaning that there are those digital assets now that are yours, that you can own, that you can control, and that you can decide to exchange or no, to send or no to a third party. And so because that's a possibility, then people need to wonder what it means for them. It can be money, it can be identity, it can be many things going forward, and many things will be in a form of a token that you will be able to keep. The certificate for your watch, like right now it's a piece of plastic. I think it will be something better than a piece of plastic to prove that you own something in the future. We already have it with art, etc., etc. And so people will own more digital tokens and more digital things in the future than they do now. And so that's why they all need a ledger. At some point, you'll need to put your digital value somewhere, your digital self somewhere, and you need to put it somewhere where you don't compromise on security. It might not be everything in your life, but it will be something important for sure.
Talking about security, how many employees does your company have, and how many of those can you classify as hackers?
Look, the company has like close to 650 employees, and hacker is a small group. It's called the Donjon. We have a small group of hackers that do this all day. So white hats, they hack for good, like for the good of the community and trying to raise the bar of security with our products, but with everybody else's product. Like we help other companies just to be better at security because we feel that it's a collective win. If everybody gets better at security, we all win. If some people fail at security, we all lose, actually. It's very difficult for consumers to think, so these guys, they're not very good at security, but I'm going to trust these guys. Like, it's better if we are all more secure, but it's less than 15 people. And it's the best attack lab in the world right now when it comes to cryptography in general and cryptocurrency.
So we can easily say that Pascal is one of the most well-connected people with hackers in the world.
No, we can't, because they work from a zone that I cannot access. When you run a security company, you have a segregation of duty. So there are many things that I cannot tell my team or my company to do because that will be me interfering with security. So typically, the donjon and everything that is like a high level of security is reporting directly to the chief security officer, and it's not something where I can even go with my badge. My badge doesn't work. So, security and the way that we think about security, we think about freedom. The basic of democracy is sort of security and privacy and all this. If you don't have security and privacy, you don't have private property. If you don't have private property, you don't have democracy. And so, it's important for me that this kind of ethos also exists at Ledger. There are a few teams at Ledger, especially the most important teams when it comes to security, that can totally not listen to what I have to say and do what's right for the people that are using a product. Like if the CEO was going crazy and asking crazy things, they wouldn't do what I asked them to do because they work from a segregated environment to prevent those kind of interference.
What
Ledger is a
about
well-designed company.
what about AI and quantum computing? What's happening now with the advancement of offense and defense?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, AI and quantum are two topics that we are extensively working on right now, covering, and we'll soon communicate like a roadmap on both items to our customers and to our community. So first, quantum computing. So we always have a bit of a disappointing answer, which is it's cool what's happening right now, but it's not for now. Like nobody's going to break your Bitcoin blockchain tomorrow or your ledger. It's going to take, years, maybe five to 10 years for quantum computing to get to there. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that you need to sit on your hands while you wait for this to happen. Like, you need to think and up the defense while the offense is being upgraded. To work on cryptography, post-quantum cryptography is something that we're really working on. And so what I can tell you is that the day the quantum computer will be a problem, your ledger will already be very secure, because that's how you build defense technology, right? There is offense and defense, but you always make sure that defense stay ahead of the game.
So there is always perhaps some kind of opportunity for arbitrage between the different security systems and technologies, I guess.
Well, you can always arbitrage, but in the end, choose the best. The one that is the most secure. That's the real arbitrage. But when it comes to AI, it's interesting because quantum computing is directly into cryptography and making cryptography like sort of harder and harder to penetrate. And that's the way that we look at this. That we look at it from a defense perspective, and defense has to be superior to offense, and it will be. AI is both it's a frenemy. It's like AI is digital abundance when cryptography is digital scarcity. And so cryptography is like the yin to the yang of AI. Like, how do you prove that you're human compared to an AI? You can prove that by cryptographically signing a transaction, or proving that you're human in a different way, like proving that you own your Twitter handler, your LinkedIn account, etc., etc. Proving that you have an identity. So proof of humanity basically is what cryptography does compared to AI, that is sort of profusion of data and basically robot versus humans. And yet AI and crypto converge together to be able to do sort of agents that would pay online, and a lot of cool things that we're currently looking at, both from an investment standpoint, but also to understand how this is going to impact Ledger Live and different products that we have. And so it's yet another trend that for sure we need to watch. But we are on these two trends, and again, we will communicate soon on what we're going to do precisely about those two.
You have talked about identity verification. This will be one of the benefits that can be built on the top of blockchain for people to be able to identify themselves to, I don't know, immigration or to different websites when they access in terms of age verification, etc. Can
Yeah.
you elaborate more on these examples?
Yeah, of course. There are a few things that are happening. Like, first, you're going to be able to tokenize a bunch of things. So your identity is one. And by tokenizing, I mean, you have a token on your ledger, and that's the way that you can decrypt data online, encrypted databases, and sort of share your data or share your identity with who you want to share. But you can do it in a zero knowledge proof type of, meaning that you can only share what needs to be shared. Meaning, I can prove to you that I'm 18, but that's it. I can prove to you with certainty that I'm 18, but I don't want to tell you much more about me. You don't need my full name. You don't need anything. You just need to know that I'm 18. So I can do that, and you will know with certainty that it's my real identity and that I'm really 18. And that's all you need to know. You want to know I'm French? I can prove to you I'm French, but that's all I need to prove to you. And I think this is going to be important. I've been navigating to understand how we do it today. You go from flashing your face everywhere, which is okay, not super cool in terms of privacy, to 100% having to present your passport to log on to OnlyFans, for example. I'm like, really? I don't care. I'm not an OnlyFans user, but I've got to try things and go. Everybody's thinking, yeah, sure. But you have to flash your passport. That's a bit too much to use a service like this. Now, what do they need to know? That I am human, that I exist, that I'm over 18, etc. So I think this I will be able to share with my ledger, but I don't want to share my whole passport. I mean, actually, I don't care, but for a lot of people, privacy is something that they cherish. And for these people, they should have an option to share the minimum, for sure.
Yes, exactly. For example, in the UAE, every time you go to some typing center or some work related, immigration related, or even small services, they take copies of your documents and right and left between people, and they're sharing too much in a way, which that's right.
Yeah, no, for sure. But, I think one of the big things that crypto needs to solve going forward is privacy. How can you be fully online, have a public ledger, but also private. Like right now, like if I know one address, like I can probably track you and see everything that you've done in your crypto life. That's not great for the future. One of the issues that the industry is going to have to solve is the privacy issue. And we shouldn't be scared by this idea of the greater good in the sense that there are other ways to catch thieves and criminals and terrorists than asking everybody all the time to prove that they're not like a terrorist or a criminal. And so I think it's going to be a lot of work, but it's one of the big thing for the next 5 to 10 years is like how can we make these technologies work without killing just privacy and freedom.
Yes, another of your initiatives in Ledger has been clear signing, and to my knowledge, I think there was some issue with the recent hack, with Lazarus, with Bybit. There was something against signing. Someone saw something else, but then it was actually something else. They signed it and it moved forward.
Yeah, so clear signing is very simple. Like what you see on the screen of your ledger is the only truth because uh, that's the only way you can know that a transaction is actually going to the right address because you're looking at the address on a secure screen. What you see on your phone or computer, you don't know if it's true. It can be hacked. And so most of what the industry does today is blind signing. So they use a ledger, but they don't know where they send the money because they got no way of, so for the Bybit thing, they had no way of verifying on the screen of the ledger that it was the right address. So they were just like signing with a ledger, but blind signing. So basically, it's like signing a blank check and you hope that it's going to get to the right person. The problem here is that the software underneath was compromised. And so when you would sign, you would see an address. And when you would actually sign, like the hackers will just reroute your funds to an address that they would control. So that's why we've been promoting clear signing since last year. And actually, this is a great initiative that is gaining speed now. And because we learn as we fail, we learn. So that was a big episode of understanding that blind signing needs to stop. You can only sign a transaction if you can see the address on the secure screen. Otherwise, you just don't know where you're sending the money. And so people say, "Oh my God, like Ledger, you're so evil. Like it's you did it on purpose like that. Now you're the only game in town because we are the only one to be able to do clear signing." So it's not because we're evil; it's because we're good. We're trying to bring like the good security to everyone. And security sometimes is a bit like gravity. Maybe you want to fly, but it's not possible. And so maybe you want to, sign crypto transactions like sort of left and right, and you want to be, doing crypto the same way that you were doing web on your mobile. It's the extension of the palm of your hand. It's all yes, yes, yes. Click right, click left. Send. No, it doesn't work like that. Like you need more security when you do crypto, and that's a hard fact. And so you need clear signing. Like there's no other way around. If you don't do clear signing and Web3 check on a secure screen, you don't know where your money is going. And it could be going to the right location, so that's okay. But also you don't know, maybe it's going to somewhere else. And everything that is happening now is something that we said would happen in the past, except that nobody listens because nobody wants to listen to the guy that says that, it's not a party anymore and that you have to to watch for your money, etc. Like it's the boring guy. Like nobody wants to listen to the boring guy. When the stuff happens though, when you get hacked, this is when you're like, oh, these guys Ledger, like they actually said that it wouldn't work. And so let me do another prediction. It's gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better. As in, if you don't get security, you can be sure that you'll be hacked in some shape or form. There is one thing that we predicted would happen that is starting to happen now, which is deploying malware at scale through app stores, Google, Microsoft, on phones, where the malware, every time it sees a private key, is going to steal it. And so that is coming, I think, sooner, and it's going to be tens of thousands of people where the private keys on their phone will be or computer will be wiped out if they're not in a ledger or in some form of like secure hardware somehow.
So as of now, Ledger is the only company that has the clear sign on the screen. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, can you show me how it looks like?
Not right now, but soon
Uh-huh.
we'll be able to send a demo. It's
Mm-hmm.
all coming like I mean, it exists already in some form, but like it's all coming at scale for much more people anytime soon, and we're very excited about it. But I cannot show it to you now. But it's very cool.
Okay. And talking about Bybit and some other institutional level companies, what kind of ledger products can they use, enterprises?
Yeah, so Ledger Enterprise, was designed for this. And had Bybit used Ledger Enterprise, they would have not lost the money because Ledger Enterprise was designed to resist to such attack. Like, the man in the middle attack, like the guy that goes behind the screen of your phone computer and take the money elsewhere. That's the most classic attack. And what happened to Bybit was impressive, but it's not even like the worst that can happen. Like a lot worse can happen. So the thing is, there is much more money now in crypto. There will be more money tomorrow in crypto. So you can be sure that the best hackers in the world are going to think hard about that problem. And so it's interesting because this industry seemed to one learn only by doing big mistakes. When we do big mistakes, then we're like, oh, okay. So then we try to not do it again. But even though for a lot of people, they worry about security later. Like it feels like everybody needs to get burned so they understand that fire burns. I think people should realize that fire burns without getting burned. Like, you take care of your security, whether it's personal or enterprise, as soon as possible. And you know what? If it costs money, it's probably because, you have people trying to work on solving a very hard problem. Security is very hard. It doesn't stand still. It always evolves. If we were to stop working on Ledger today, for example, like we just stop everything, you don't know how long the security will hold, because for a product that stops moving, attackers will stop searching, and eventually one day, they'll find something if you don't continuously up the security and up the barrier. So, I think uh, I would prefer if we would collectively think about that problem and not just Ledger. And I don't want to be pretentious and say we're the only game in town. There are other companies that are doing good at security, but I think we should take this like more seriously, because every time someone fails, again, it's the whole industry that fails. Like, Bybit is not just Bybit, is the confidence that people have coming into crypto. And before Bybit, it was something else, and before it was something else. So, I think we'll be better off if for 6 months we don't have one hack. Like, we should try that.
What are the future plans of Ledger? Are you planning to be publicly listed somewhere, US, UAE? What's the growth plan in terms of employees, etc.?
Look, right now we are enjoying what we took to market last year. So the new products hit the market last year. Ledger Enterprise TradeLink hit the market last year. So right now, like we are a happy family, and we finally selling our products that we took, some time to bring to market. Like I would say, we're not doing anything new apart from doing what we do every day, but like continuously better. Like that's our focus. Like just do it like better every day, and to bring a better service to our users, etc., etc. The rest, to finance, bringing new financing to the company, it's something that, always be raising, they say, for a CEO. And whether we raise for private or public market, it really depends on many things. But I would say right now, like, everything is possible for Ledger, so there is no set plan. But the beginning of the year is good. The numbers are really good. I think this year is going to be spectacular, even though right now we have a small dip, and the end of the year is going to be something to watch, I think. So I'm just very excited to be to have a stable product that is good in the market, and, sending it to happy customers. When you launch a new product, you never know how customers are going to react. So we were super relieved, relaxed, and happy to see that our customers love the product. So hopefully you will be a new customer soon.
Yes, yes, we have to increase a bit the Bitcoin net worth, and then yeah. Okay, and last question out of curiosity, let's say from 100 people, how many of those they will lose their private keys at some point? What's your estimation?
That's a great question. I hope as few as possible, and especially now that we have launched and will be launching services to never lose your private key. So we launched Ledger Recover a few years ago now, 2 years ago, I think. At the time, it was like a big scandal, but I can tell you that today, a lot of people are super happy. Like, we have a lot of customers using Ledger Recover for that exact reason. How long can you trust you with a private key? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Like, where is that piece of paper? And once you start to have a lot of value and all your life on your ledger, like, maybe you need a backup. So ledger recovery is great for that, and we're coming with a bunch of product and services so people never lose their private key. So I would say, we're tending towards zero, but there is a lot of education, a lot of education. Like people sometimes overlook where we are in the time of taking these products and new technology to market. And the education, people have to forget everything they know and learn something new. Before, your money was at the bank and it was somebody else's problem. Now you can actually have it and do stuff with it. So just that is something to understand, like how does it work, etc. And to spend the time to document yourself. We're very happy to have one of the top three educational program in crypto alongside with the two biggest exchanges, and our educational content is actually all the way up there in terms of volume, in terms of visits, etc. And so that shows you that, and for us, it was very natural when we did it at the beginning because it sort of shows you that you have to educate your customer base, otherwise, they'll never, come to you. And also, it's something that you have to do for people to be able to build their own defenses. And again, let's not think about it as just money for the future. If it's just your identity, for example, you need to know how to protect it, how to use it, what's the best thing to do. Do you want to keep it in Google? Do you want to have it with you, etc.? So there are many things that people have to figure out for the future. I call, this Bitcoin thing, like for me, AI is like an evolution. It was called big data before. Like there was an evolution of technology, and now it does AI. So it brought some disruption, of course, like the new LLM models, etc. But for me, the real revolution is Bitcoin. There was nothing before Bitcoin. Like it's like suddenly boom, popping out of nowhere. You get Bitcoin, and it changes everything. So that people are going to have to learn. Intuitively, people understand AI. Just like a search, except that it gives you better answers. Okay, but Bitcoin, okay, that's something new. So yeah, education.
Okay, excellent conversation. If there is anything else you would like to add,
No, I think it was a great conversation. Thank you for the questions, and have a good day.
great. Have a good day. See you soon in Dubai. Bye bye. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Can I